What's going on, y'all? Just thought I would test out a new little idea. Nature talks. I'm sure that name will evolve. How about trail talks? Because I'm on a little wooded trail right here. And, just thought it might be nice to switch up the scenery. Usually when I'm recording for my podcast, I'm just, in my studio room, and thought it might be better to mix it up today. This video, I want to address the concept of getting the most out of your good days. And I'll explain what I mean by that. We all have good days, okay days, bad days. I think it's important to realize that there's a lot more potential in a bad day than we realize. And what I mean by that is good things can come to you at the least expected times. Like a bad day, for example, a couple things go wrong, or maybe it's just bad because you're not feeling well. Maybe you're just not in peak form, or something like that. And it's easy to assume that, all right, this is a bad day. Today sucks. I hope tomorrow is better. But I'll use an example for myself, and that was yesterday. Today is September 1st, 2022. Do you remember? Yesterday, I was running on about 4.5 hours of sleep. Some of you may know that I have a history of chronic insomnia. But separately, another time, I'll address how substantially that has improved for me over the last few months, and ways I've made that happen, for those of you that are interested. But that right there for me over the recent years has been one of the key factors to setting the early tone of my day. If I hadn't slept well, that'd really throw things off for me, and I'd feel like I'm behind the 8 ball to start the day. I'd feel like, okay, the day is going to be uphill, and there's not much I can do about it. I just got to get through the day. I think that was a big mistake of perspective, and is still, as these days occasionally happen. But I have enough tools in my toolkit to priming myself for a day, regardless of how much rest I got or how I'm feeling. So, I made sure to work in as much of those key routine practices as I could. And, that improved things for sure. But I had an incredible day yesterday. One of the best days of recent memory, on one of the worst sleeps in recent memory. So that, is interesting to me. And I realized that that's because I had set myself up for that day to happen long before the day happened. I set my sales record yesterday, last day of the month, needed one more sale. All the work that I had put in to that sale prior, which goes back, weeks and lots of work, set me up so that the chips fell the way they did yesterday. There's really not much I did yesterday, to close the deal, other than, I closed the sale. I mean, I put in some work, don't get me wrong. But all the work I had done prior is mainly why the deal got done. So I set my record for insurance sales in a month, which also, that very sale also set and broke our agency's all-time record for a month, and also helped us achieve the gift card we were in a contest to get. All 3 of those things were earned the moment that I sold that account. And it's because of all the work I'd put in prior, that's what I'm getting at with this, is that when you're feeling good, if you feel good every day, great, man, keep it going. But when you really are just feeling good and you are in the zone, milk that for what it's worth, because you might not be in that zone the next day or the next week. Might get sick, might have something crazy come up where you've got to step away from work or your craft or whatever for a week for a family emergency or a health emergency or any number of things that could happen. It's easy to take for granted the ordinary day where when you step back and look at it, everything's fine. But it's easy to just chalk that up as another day, to take it for granted and assume, oh, it's just another day. They're all like this. So what's the need to treat it any differently? But the effort I put in on a string of good days paid off on what could have been a bad day based on how I had been feeling, my lack of energy. The stars aligned, a blessing came through and flipped my day right side up. Another part of that awesome day was, an awesome lunch I had with my mom, and some breakthrough discussions that I had with her, and I think, for example, probably not as much of a, black and white example to paint the picture for this concept, but I'd say the corollary here is the work that I've done on myself over the years, and the new lines of thinking. I think I'm going to turn around here. Yeah, sounds good. The personal development, the self-reflection and self-awareness, and everything that I'm doing to evolve into the person I want to be, and to craft and design the life that I want to live, and the impact that I want to have, and the story I want to be able to write. All that stuff came to fruition, in a conversation that I don't get to have every day, on actually a trail kind of just like this, but in a different undisclosed location in Northwest Columbus. So without the work I had done on myself over a longer period of time, zoom out a little bit, not talking a few weeks of work, talking a few years of work, led me to, I guess as James Clear from the book Atomic Habits would put it, that breakthrough moment, such as when ice melts, at 33 degrees. Could be at 0 degrees, keep turning up the dial 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, 5 degrees, 10 degrees, nothing's happening. 20 degrees, 25 degrees, nothing's happening. 30 degrees, nothing's happening. 32 degrees, turn to 33 degrees. Suddenly it starts melting. It's not just that 1 degree that made the difference. It's all the degrees before that, and the consistent, progress, incremental, the day by day progress for me, led me to be able to, open a new box of conversation, with someone important that I hadn't really done to that level before. You can't just wake up and manifest the best day ever, and let me show you what I'm working with here. Not bad. Peaceful, a good getaway on my lunch break. I know this isn't exactly the normal trail fit either, but I didn't feel like changing the clothes today, so I just put on the shoes. Not too hot, huh? I'm surviving out here in early September. I know this is a little long-winded, but there's certain videos I've been watching like this lately that I'm really connecting with, and so I think if you connect with this sort of thing, to kind of wrap this all up, when you're having a good day or you're feeling okay and you're confusing a good day for an ordinary day, step one, recognize that if there is nothing tragic happening in your life to you, or there's nothing of immediate concern and you're just kind of, going through the motions, that's more of a blessing than you realize because of, the future chaos and unplanned for events that are bound to happen in your life at some point. So take the ordinary day, reframe that into, okay, this is a good day because it's not a bad day, and then put the work in so that when a bad day comes along, the work stopped recording, I'm not sure why, but so that it can reward you when, you least expect it. The only way a bad day has to stay a bad day is if you haven't put the good vibes and the effort and the energy out into the universe, into the world, to be prepared to change form and become the karma that's eventually going to come back your way to help you out when you need it. Anyway, don't know when this will be posted. I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to posting content like this, even creating it sometimes. But the quicker I can become comfortable with my authentic self in the creative realm of things, then the quicker you can start extracting value from the things that have helped me in my journey to, fulfilling my potential, being the best version of me that I can be in whatever that is or whatever that means. I don't have some blueprint. I don't have some end goal of what or who I'm trying to be exactly. But there are some kind of key concepts that, I know will lead me down the right. Turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. Put in the work. Trust the process. Watch it unfold, baby. Lon's out.